Holy smoke, day 4. You are at the halfway mark. Congratulations. There are more than 4 more days until the end of this class because you have a 2-day break in another day or so. But as far as the class days themselves go, congratulations. Halfway there. So that's kind of exciting. What it means is a couple things. One is you should be pretty immersed right now in the whole idea of developing educational entrepreneurship. And you should be, I think, probably on the verge of either feeling very comfortable with the way this course is going or feeling, I hate to say this, a little panicky about the way this course is going. I know that it is a lot to do, and I know that it gets demanding very quickly. So just keep in mind that that is not unusual, that I know that you're doing the best that you can, and that you should continue to go day by day from top to bottom every day in that order. If you're moving ahead, and I think you should try to move ahead as quickly as possible, do it in that order. If you fall behind, don't skip ahead to the current day. Start where you left off and move up. Just say, I'm going to plow through this. I'm going to set aside a couple of hours and get this done. I know you can do it, so keep up the great work. Okay, hey, looky there. So a live version of the syllabus is linked here. Use it if you need to. You're obviously watching the introductory video first. Congratulations, that'll be right here when you look at it. Today's learning objectives. Today, I want you to understand how to develop a strategy for educational entrepreneurship in international contexts, or quite frankly, in an appropriate context, even if it's not international. And how to develop an operating model for social ventures in education. So operating model, that's important. You're creating a plan, but what is your operating model for how the innovation, how whatever you're entrepreneurially developing works? So pay attention to that. You will see, I'm just going to skip ahead, which is I keep telling you not to do, and here I'm doing it. I have not put any ideas for you or questions for you for the postings later on. So you're trying to post on the readings and the videos in ways that help you articulate what you learned. Reflecting back on the objectives is a great way to do that. So when you get to that comment part at the end of the day, look back at the objectives and tell me in those comments, tell your classmates in those comments what you got. How did you learn to develop a strategy for educational entrepreneurship? Or what were the difficulties or challenges in doing that? Or how did you adjust it so that you're talking about domestic versus international context, right? Just tell me your take on that. Use references back to the readings and the videos to help you articulate that. Tell me how you developed an operating model for social ventures in education. What, again, were the challenges or the promises that sort of came true for you? Those are very lofty. I know I sound like I'm preaching a little bit, but I want you to really reflect back on what you've done, what you've learned. Being a reflective practitioner is a wonderful characteristic to have. You might as well learn how to do that as a student. Okay, learning modules. So first of all, developing an implementation strategy. I've asked you to look at our trusty Wolk and Kreitz, Business Planning for Enduring Social Impact, specifically looking at the second section of the book. It's only 23 pages. I think you can make it through. There is a book by Dees, Emerson, and Economy called Enterprising Nonprofits, a Toolkit for Social Entrepreneurs. I will have this chapter here linked for you. It is their implementation-related chapter. I'd like for you to take a look at that. And when I say take a look at, read this one. Maybe read, skim this one, if you know what I mean. That's all I'm going to say. All right. And then I would like for you to watch this video. This guy does a really good time talking about education innovation in the slums. I think he's specifically talking about Rio or Brazil, but it could be applied pretty much anywhere where there is disadvantage, where there is inequality, etc. So thinking about how those educational innovations that he describes were implemented and what it would take to implement them is going to be very important. Remember, with implementation, when you're talking about how to implement something, it needs to be like a set of instructions. It needs to be something that if you handed it to me, I could read it and I would understand how to do it myself. That means that there needs to be enough detail there that I'm not having to guess what the next step is. But you don't want to put so much detail in there that it just becomes bloated and bogged down with all the minutia. All right? So you're trying to find a happy medium. I'm going to limit your words on this part of the assignment anyway when you're writing up, your implementation for your strategic plan. But think about how these people, in what they're writing and what they're saying in the video, are saying or doing related to implementation. How do they articulate it? What are the components of it? What level of detail do they go to? That is all very important. So then when you're talking about how to develop a strategy and how to develop an operating model, you've got some idea of how people talk about it and what level of detail they're using. Next, I'd like for you to think about how to develop an operating model yourself. And I've asked you to read Why Business Models Matter from the Harvard Business Review. Remember, we are talking about social innovations and social entrepreneurship through education. We're not talking about the regular, I'm using air quotes here, regular business kind of entrepreneurship. But we're still interested in the operating model idea. So I think you'll find this 10-page reading really valuable for that. Next in this section, I would like for you to watch 3 videos that I actually made for a different class. I made these videos for a grant writing class that I taught a little while ago. So you will hear me in these videos refer to the grant writing class and specifics about CIE407, even though you're in CIE491. Don't be thrown by that. The content that I give you, the planning process and the social innovation model that I work through in these 3 videos is right on target for this class. It is specifically on target for thinking about how do you create an operating model, specifically an operating model that's geared towards social impact. So look at those 3 videos. Thank you for putting up with me for approximately 45 minutes of video time. I think they'll be very helpful to you, at least I hope so. I'm going to ask you to look at another case study related to the Knowledge is Power program, this one related to growth strategy. So it's a slightly different take on the implementation idea. Implementing can be just doing it. But implementing a growth strategy, in other words, a way to expand the operation or the innovation, is another layer on the implementation idea. And like I've said before, I will have this linked for you hopefully by the time you get to this day. Well, definitely by the time you get to this day in real time. Okay, so that's what you're doing for modules. For application activities, excuse me, I would like for you to draft the social impact model section of your strategic plan for an innovative or entrepreneurial educational program or project with clearly labeled subsections. No more than 2,000 words. That's super important. Okay. I would like for you to do a description of your operating model. Please look at the Wolk and Kreitz book, pages 20 to 21, to get some idea of what that means. I would like for you to describe your social impact strategies. Look at the Wolk and Kreitz book on page 23 and the videos from today to see how social impact strategies are described. Finally, I would like for you to create a diagram showing how your idea has a social impact operating model. Again, refer to Wolk and Kreitz, page 16, and the videos today for an example. Your social impact model diagram should include a social problem definition. So what are you actually doing? What's your idea? What's the problem that you're addressing? A mission statement. And that doesn't have to be the best one I've ever read, but it needs to be one. Some indicators of your progress or whether or not you're doing what you say you're doing. And a vision of success at a minimum. You will see in the readings from today and the videos from today, there are lots of other things you could be putting into your social impact model diagram. But at a minimum, I want a social problem definition, a mission statement, indicators, and a vision of success. I'm also asking that your diagram, well, I'm not asking, I'm demanding that your diagram be accompanied by explanatory text. Please do not assume that I understand what your diagram means without any text telling me what it means. I promise you I will misinterpret it if you don't tell me how to understand it. Tell the reader what the diagram means. I'm the first guy reading this, so tell me, please. And then finally, I would like for you to post comments at the bottom of today's page. Remember, in today's comments, I would like for you to go back to those objectives and think about how the readings, the videos, and the assignments helped you achieve those objectives. And I would like for you to articulate that in your comments. Cool. Remember that this class is maybe halfway over, but it's not really over yet. So continue to look ahead, continue to prepare for the next day as soon as possible. Ask any questions or make any comments that you need to in this funky little section down here that says leave a reply, and all will be right with the world. You are doing a great job. I want you to keep up the good work. I want you to ask me any questions that you have. I want you to be in touch with your classmates and with me via the comments section at the end of this page, and quite frankly at the end of every page for this class. And I think that you are going to celebrate a little bit today because you're halfway through. Congratulations.